welcome to Give It To Me Straight. I'm Victoria Straight, and today I am here with Steve Wallace, Sterling's new town planner. Well, it's been a couple months, but relatively new.
Relatively new. I came on board in late October.
Yeah, so it's a few months. How have you been settling in?
Well, fairly well. I knew that starting at a new town, the picture would be blurry at first, and
Yeah.
as I got to know the people and the landscape and your situation, the picture would become clearer and clearer, and it has.
Yeah, and you came from Westminster before, right?
Yes,
And I know this because I'm from Westminster.
Oh, okay.
So I already knew. So you have background in being a town planner and doing that kind of stuff.
I was with Westminster for 11 and a half years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So you're really experienced. You know what you're doing.
I would hope so at this point.
Good. So my next question is, because I honestly don't know the answer to this, as someone who has been working at Sterling-Lancaster since 2020 and going to almost every single government meeting, what on earth is a town planner? Like, what do you do? I don't even know.
Okay. Well, the town planner role varies depending upon the community. But for small towns like Sterling and Westminster, my role is essentially the same. I serve as the planning board staff person, meaning that when the town gets a development proposal, I coordinate the interdepartmental review, get all the departments heads together with the applicant and their engineer, and we review the plan together.
Yep.
And knock out any concerns we have, any issues we have, even before it gets before the planning board for a hearing.
Yep.
I also coordinate outside expertise if we need it, engineering reviews, traffic engineers, things like that. I'm also the town's point person for economic development. So if a new business is thinking of coming to Sterling, they talk to me. I help them navigate the permitting process and things like that.
So you're really like an integral part of being able to get these businesses coming in, really planning what they're going to be able to do and how to do it right, to make sure it's done right.
Sure. That's a big part of what I do.
Yeah. So I know that you have just come in from a few months and you're still trying to get the picture of what's happening. So what projects have you picked up from the previous town planner that you're working on right now?
Well, there's a lot of zoning issues in town. Last year, the state legislature passed a rule affecting all MBTA communities and MBTA adjacent communities, of which Sterling is one.
Yep.
We abut Leominster, and they have an MBTA train station. But essentially, the state has said, for all MBTA and adjacent communities, you've got to find some land where you allow multifamily development by right.
Yep.
And so I've been scouring parcels in the north of town, along North Row Road,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a feasible connection to the sewer line that comes down from Leominster, where we could support multifamily housing.
Yeah.
Sterling not having its own sewer system, it makes multifamily housing development because you just can't get density without it.
Yeah.
So I've been working on that. I'm also helping the Economic Development Committee put together a promotional map / brochure that's going to feature everything that's wonderful about Sterling.
Including us, right?
Of course.
You got to put SLCT in there.
So there'll be a map on one side that shows where our features are.
Oh,
You
that'll
flip
be really
it over.
nice.
You see where our restaurants are, our farms, our shopping, our services.
Yeah.
It's a neat little resource for visitors and newcomers alike.
Yeah. And also businesses, to be able to hand that to businesses and be like, listen, we have these places already. This is what, new businesses can come in and be like, wow, you don't have that yet. Let me be that spot on the map.
And all our businesses have been great about giving us information to put in that brochure.
Yeah.
So it's been great to get to know the local businesses.
Yeah, that'll be so nice. We have some amazing businesses here in Sterling. So it's really nice to get like a little highlighted spot on the map. So those are the things that you've kind of been working on now. Do you have any like short-term and or long-term projects?
With planning, it's mostly long-term.
Yep.
You've got a very, let's say your zoning bylaw has issues.
Okay.
Where to even begin? Okay, so your options for commercial and industrial development are very limited. It's not up to date in terms of what modern day communities allow for uses.
Yeah.
You've got too many uses that go to the zoning board for special permits, and then they've got to come back to the planning board for site plan review. We're going to try to find a way to get the special permits from the zoning board over to the planning board so that someone who wants to put in a new business or industry in town, they've only got to go to one board.
Yeah.
You've also got a performance district where the bylaw and their regulations reads like a Kafka novel. If nobody in town hall can understand the regulations, how do we advise the people on how to use it?
Exactly.
So we're hopefully going to be sponsoring some public forums in the fall whereby we ask the public what they want to see in this performance zone. It's in the south of town, along Route 140. If we hear from the people what they want there for uses, we can translate that into zoning.
Yep. So you're really making sure the townspeople get their say on what's going to be
planning has to be from the bottom up.
Yeah.
It has to start with the people articulating what they want.
Yeah. Exactly, because it's their town. Right?
Yeah, you can't approach it from the point of view that I'm the expert, I know what's best. Mm-hmm. That's just not going to fly.
So, have you found that trying to get these bylaws is not necessarily trying to change the ideals behind or like the beliefs behind what the townspeople want, but more or less just updating it to what people want now?
Yes.
Because I know people get people start rewriting things. They're like, oh, they're just going to change it, and the whole town's going to be different. It's making the vision of Sterling clearer.
No, we understand that people value the rural character of Sterling, and we don't want to change that. By the same token, you've got to reserve some areas for economic development, or all of the cost of municipal services is going to fall on homeowners.
Yeah.
And not many people remember that the American Farmland Trust did a cost of community service study for Sterling specifically in 2009, and it showed that for every dollar in taxes generated by commercial and industrial development, it only costs the town 30 cents to service those uses.
Wow.
Compared to residential development, for every dollar of taxes that residential development generates, it costs the town about $1.15 to service.
Wow.
So residential development is not a tax winner for the town.
Yeah.
And if we want to keep the taxes reasonable for Sterling's homeowners, we've got to have some economic development.
Yeah.
And it's putting it in the area that it's best suited for.
Yeah. it's keeping the businesses in a business area while still keeping that rural.
And
which
that's another
is
issue
so
in
important.
your zoning.
Yeah.
Your commercial zoning district allows residential uses, and the result of that is 43% of your commercially zoned properties are used for residences, meaning that residential development is eating up all of your commercial land,
Yeah.
and that's an issue.
Yeah. Gotta get those businesses in.
Right.
So that's one of the bigger ones that you're working on is the bylaws. I don't know how involved you are. I know that there's just been talk for a long time about the downtown revitalization. How do you play into that? And
Well, the town administrator is taking the lead on that, but we're going to be going for grant money to spruce up our village center here. New sidewalks, new lighting, new landscaping. The design plans are in the works now, and I think by this point next year they'll be ready, and we can use those to ask the state for grant money
yeah,
to help us put that project into place.
because it's definitely a big project.
It is, and it also ties back to what I said before about the state's new requirement for multifamily zoning.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have that in place, the town cannot apply for infrastructure grants.
Yeah.
And that's the type of grant that would fund our downtown
So you
spruce
kind of
up.
have to play by the state's rules in order to have the
Well,
state help
yes.
you out. But
Yes, right now that is the case, but I've been talking with the other small towns that are in our situation that don't have municipal sewer,
yeah,
but have been instructed by the state to zone for multifamily housing. They're in the same bind that we are.
yeah,
So I'm hoping that our regional planning commission can get those towns together and make an appeal to the state to
yeah.
lighten up.
Because, not every town can be able to support all those things, and it's not that you don't necessarily want to. It's you can't help anyone if you don't have the stuff to do it, and you
That
can't
we
get
don't
the
have
stuff to do it if you
municipal
don't
sewer.
have
I
help.
mean,
So
it's just going to be a district on paper.
yeah, so I hope it works out. I'm glad to hear that you guys are going regional to do this, because I do know that there are some surrounding towns that are also having issues with this. So it's good that you're reaching out to the other towns to kind of come together to solve that issue, especially with trying to have to put in a grant for infrastructure later.
Correct.
To get that fixed. But do you have any other projects that you're working on, or any other big things? Or?
I'm excited that you have a robust open space committee, open space and trails committee, and I'm going to be working with them on finding a way to extend our portion of the rail trail into Leominster.
Oh,
Sterling is kind of the regional epicenter for our regional trail systems.
yep.
We've just got to finish off our links to the north with Leominster and to the south with West Boylston.
Wow.
They're a good group to work with, and I'm excited to work with them to help complete our trail systems.
Yeah, I feel like I've been on so many trails, and they're always in Sterling is where I end up being. And so many towns, like rail trail is like the buzzword of the year for the communities around here. So it's nice that we're gonna start putting some work into our portion of it.
Right.
It'll be nice. So I guess I don't really have any other questions for you, but if people want to get in contact with you, how do they do that?
How do they get in touch with me? Well, I'm over on the top floor of the Buttrick Municipal Building, but you can also call me at 978-422-8111 at extension 2320, or you can email me at swallace, that's WALLACE, at sterling-ma.gov.
Perfect. But that's all we have for today. If you need to contact Steve, he gave you the way to do it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. He is here for the town. And that's all the time we have for Give It To Me Straight. We'll see you next time.